Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Who is Who in America on Al Hikmah TV 24/7 online. It is indeed a pleasure to have with us in Al Hikmah studio Brother Suhail Nanji. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Sheikh. Happy to be here.
It's really a pleasure to have you. I know you're a busy person. You have so many things going on. But our viewers worldwide would really learn a lot from your experience and your opinions and your views and the sort of things that you have been doing. And I want to let our audience know also that you're a man of deep technology. You're a very technological person. So, my friends, dear, stay tuned for a very wonderful conversation. We're going to talk politics today with Brother Suhail Nanji. He's the chairman of Emgage Florida. He will let us know a little bit of Emgage, what it does, its purpose, its mission, accomplishment. And you know, politics is very big in the United States of America, and President Trump made it even more interesting. So it's going to be a lot of fun with Brother Suhail Nanji. But before we get into that political conversation and his opinions and where we go from now, we want to ask Brother Suhail a little bit about himself and his technological background. So we know you're a man came from Silicon Valley. Everybody hear about Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your technological background, what you do, what is your career, what you did in Silicon Valley, etc.
Okay.
Our viewers love technology. We are in a world of technology.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Sheikh. First of all, happy to be here, and thank you for having me. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My background is in electrical engineering, is where I've officially studied, and mostly I've been in the technology entrepreneurial space, starting companies.
Okay.
And mostly focused on telecommunications, so internet, things like that.
So you're in the real business of the time.
Yes, this is actually, that's what got me interested.
Telecommunications.
Yes.
And you're
internet
an entrepreneur in the technological world.
Yes, that's right. So that's what ended. I was in New York, actually. I had a small company that did telecommunication software, and ended up going to Silicon Valley for a startup. And this was around the bubble days, 1998 to 2002. So this startup was changing how we actually connect to the internet. And it was very exciting for me, and I joined, and alhamdulillah, did very well.
Okay.
And after that, the telecom space was not really as innovative as it was in that time. It was maturing and consolidating. So I decided to move to Florida and started another venture that was more on using telecom services rather than telecom infrastructure.
Okay.
So a little different approach. So right now we have a company that does cloud video surveillance.
And what do you do on cloud video surveillance?
So we've developed the technology in America. We make the product in America. Everything's made in the USA. And we take, normally if you would have, let's say, a video surveillance system, you'd have a DVR at a location that would record your video from cameras. We eliminate that DVR, and we virtualize it on the internet.
Okay.
So now you can have 10 locations. None of them need DVRs. They can all go to this virtual DVR.
So from a safety point of view, that's even better because someone can go in and get that DVR and that's all your information gone.
You're very wise to see that point. That's one of our key selling points, is that your video is safe and secure. No one can tamper with it. And God forbid, if there's a catastrophic event, you have a fire or something, that video to the last second is saved off-site on the internet.
Wow.
So a lot of customers use it for like security purposes where, let's say they have a lawsuit issue and they need video from 6 months back. Well, that's fine. We can keep it for them.
That's definitely a double security scenario.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very interesting. It's a fascinating area. I love technology. It allows me to innovate, and today it is the industry of today, basically.
Of course. And you know what I have seen, I mean, in other countries in the world, America comes up with all these ideas, and other countries are just so fascinated, and they just go in details with it.
What's interesting, though,
you make a lot of business abroad, more from abroad than America, or what happens?
Technology has no borders. I mean, I've traveled the world in this space because that stuff is used everywhere. But what's interesting when you say about the world and so forth, if you go to Silicon Valley, the world is in Silicon Valley. You see people from everywhere.
Wow.
The diversity is tremendous because the best and the brightest are coming there.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's fascinating that America provides the environment to really get the best out of those folks and allow them to, innovate.
No, and I mean, credit must be given to America. America,
Absolutely.
brings all these intellectuals and
Yes.
technological geniuses from all over the world.
Yes.
Bring them together, brainstorm,
Absolutely.
and just let it happen.
Yeah, no, that is phenomenal in how the ecosystem works there.
Yeah, and it is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely.
So
Of
now
course,
that
it all comes from Allah.
America is so sophisticated in the technological world, and I mean, I want to share that I do see in other countries that they take these ideas and they fly with it.
It's happening all over now. They've realized this model works and they want to emulate it, of course.
Yes. So now that brings us to the next other sophisticated area in America. And I say sophisticated because I don't want it to sound too political, but the realistic thing is the politics in America.
Yes.
I think America is the only country in the world when election and politics are on the top road and highway of election year. The whole world concentrates on American politics.
Yes, that's true. Because the American political system, being the world power that we are, impacts everyone in the world. Some people suggested we should have other citizens have a say in who we elect. Obviously, that's not the way to go, but it's so important in who gets elected.
Yes. I mean, because America is the most powerful democratic country in the world.
Absolutely.
Even though other countries got a bigger population.
That's right.
But the democratic system is so unique. And, you know, it is a blessing from Allah.
Absolutely.
That the system has remained in such a way. People corrupt the system.
Yeah.
But the system is very, very interesting. And I love that system. It helps justice. It gives a balanced way. Because if you look at other countries, you know, you can ruin a very innocent man.
Yes.
Or you can put the worst man somewhere who does not belong there because of his money, because of his family background. But America is not like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up because the system here, I like to take a sports analogy. It's not like a spectator sport, politics here, where you sit back, you watch, and things happen and you cheer for your team. It's really a contact sport where you have to engage. And people don't realize that because we have, in the Muslim community, we have a lot of immigrant population. And for them, politics from quote unquote back home is a different game, like you said. It's not like here. But here, what's required is that you have to engage in the political system. Not a lot. I mean, doesn't mean you go give up your life and do this. But a small amount of engagement can have a major impact here.
And
people don't realize
that's where Emgage comes in.
Exactly.
And Emgage then went on to Engage.
Right.
Emgage, you call it.
Right. We're calling Emgage. It has an EM, and it's for engaging Muslims. So we've kind of...
I like that.
Right. What happened is that we've kind of developed from the basics of engagement, from emerging, and we're now ready to engage at the next level.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yes.
No, that is really phenomenal. I like that. And we're going to talk a little bit and let our audience know more about Emerge, merging into Emgage, and your whole purpose, because it's all about the politics in America.
Absolutely.
And politics, as we know, is a very misunderstood thing. There are a lot of people who think it's not right and it's not, this is not Islamic. But, you know, as you rightly said a little while ago, a lot of this misconception in third world countries, it really is a whole different kettle of fish here in the United States of America. I mean, let's take Clinton and Trump. And I mean, that's what you are. You are the chairman of Emgage in Florida. So we're going to be hearing your perspective. But I want to throw a couple of things out to create the curiosity for our audience and for you to answer back. I mean, look at the politics here. Trump has a very interesting background.
Yes.
A very interesting character. You know, where he came from.
That's right.
In the Miss Universe world.
Yes.
A world of casino and fun and sport and women.
Right.
Let's be very real, Brother Suhail.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Hillary Clinton now on the other side is coming up with a whole different serious background, just the opposite of Trump lifestyle.
Right.
But Trump won the election.
Yes.
Then you have Bill Clinton on the other side with his whole scenario.
Yes.
But that did not make any difference in the election.
Right.
Their personality, Trump's Miss Universe background, and I don't want to read and spell things here. You know, both sides tried to defame each other on a womanizing scenario. Let me make it very clear so our viewers understand what we're talking about. But that did not affect the election.
No.
It didn't make a difference. No. Both sides dumped it. They realized it. The media made a scandal out of it. Everything went on here and there. But, Brother Suhail, it did not make a difference with the result of election. Are you with me here?
Yeah, I understand.
And, you know, in Pakistan and India and Bangladesh and in Africa and third world countries, that would have been the biggest scene. People strive on these kind of negativity.
Yes.
And that's what I'm glad that you all have this organization as a service to the Muslim community and the community at large to get them engaged into the politics. So now, let our audience know a little bit of Emerge to Emgage and what's your purpose.
Great. So I explained a little bit about the name transition because we're really at a new phase where we have to have our community engaged in the system. So we changed our name and we're moving on to that. We are a national organization. We have a headquarter office in DC and we have chapters in Michigan, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Florida.
Serving only Muslims or the community at large?
The mission is really to empower American Muslims.
Okay.
But that's not in a vacuum. We have to engage with the greater society.
Good.
So it's not where we partner with many organizations. So we kind of serve a two-phase mission. One is to really work with partner organizations in the political system to make sure that they know that Muslims are here and they're engaged.
Right.
But the other, which is actually more important, is to get the community to participate. Because like I said, in
but
politics—
do you have a membership?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so the membership is open to Muslims and non-Muslims?
Absolutely.
Only
No, anyone can become a member.
No, which is all
If they want to
fair.
support it, that's perfect.
Listen, you got that in the Jewish community,
Sure.
in the Christian community,
Absolutely.
and it's services for all humanity.
Exactly.
But somebody got to start it.
Right.
And if the Muslims started it and pioneered it, well, then you got to go that way.
Right.
That's
so
only fair.
Yeah, and membership is very important because I can tell you the first thing we get asked by elected officials is how many members you have.
Excellent.
So it's really important. People, if I can emphasize one thing, is we talked about the different systems in overseas and here. Engagement here is so critical, and people don't realize the value. And it's not a matter of where engagement means you give up every weekend and you're working for elected officials or donating money. We're talking maybe 1 or 2 touch points a quarter, maybe 1 email, a phone call, maybe a 10-1 event, and that's it.
So do you think that being a member of Emgage will be even more important than getting people engaged in the politics? Are you following what I'm saying?
I understand. So let me give an analogy. We have a lot of medical professionals in our community, alhamdulillah. So the simplest way to save a life, and let's say, and I'm not a physician, someone's not a physician, the easiest way to save a life is give blood. Right? You say you've done a great duty.
Yeah.
So I tell people, if you can't do anything, the most basic thing is become a member, vote, and participate. That's the most simplest way that you can empower the community. So it's really essential in that sense.
Yeah, but what I'm suggesting is that you Emgage may have to do a bigger or stronger drive on people to become members, because when they become members, then you automatically will have them there in your portfolio sort of thing, that you could give them all the update of being able and when to vote and where to vote, etc.
I agree, and that's exactly where—
You follow what I'm saying?
I totally
Because
agree
by the
with
time the election comes,
Right.
you lose them.
Right.
They jump ship. They don't know who they're voting for,
Right.
what they're voting for.
That's exactly right. The engagement, and it's not just elections. I mean, people think these 4-year presidential elections are everything in the politics. They're not. They're a big event by far. But like, the American political system is literally upside down.
Yes.
People don't realize it. They
Yes.
think the president has the most impact on their life, and he does in a lot of ways. But the local elected officials have way more impact.
Yes.
And the beauty is that we can change those elections. My partner, who is not Muslim, he ran for his vice mayor in his county. He won by 17 votes in a city of 28,000 people.
Wow. Wow.
So it's 17 people. In our families, we can get families and friends and get 17 votes, right?
Yes.
So think about it. We really underestimate the value of engagement. But to get back to your membership, that is a critical area
that's a fantastic way to
we're
go,
focusing on. Yes.
Because automatically, when you have a certain powerful amount of members, you get all your information to them.
Exactly.
Because you made a good point. They may know who is the presidential candidate, but they don't know who are the judges around, the mayors, the commissioners, the local senators.
Exactly.
Most of the people have no clue who or what they are.
Right.
And if your foundation is not strong,
Right.
That's the point.
That's a good analogy.
Your foundation, which is your local elected officials, if they are of a certain party, that's the voice in that territory.
Right.
And whatever party they are from, that's the presidential candidate that they will support and mobilize the audience
Yeah.
and the people or the citizens to support. So you got to get the grassroots going, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. The whole focus is grassroots, and our mission is more towards that. We've done a lot with our partner organizations, elected officials. We need to do much more with the community. That's where we're really going to focus.
Definitely. Before we go on the short break, Brother Suhail, you know, time just goes. We have already been talking for more than about 17 minutes or so.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yes.
I want to ask an interesting question.
Yeah.
Maybe you could answer it when we come back,
Okay.
and that can put our audience in some curiosity there. Emgage does not support any one party in America.
No.
Right? Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So you do not and cannot, I mean, I suppose you could privately. Or,
Well, as an individual,
as
I
an
can,
individual.
sure.
But officially,
Yeah, as an
you are
organization.
set up
Yes.
in America
Yes.
to promote, mobilize people to vote,
Yes.
register to vote, get involved in the political arena.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Get involved in the politics and,
Yes.
and get things going, okay, because there's a need.
Yes.
And as you said before we started the show, that, you know, a lot of people believe that because they are wealthy, they are in a comfort zone here. And that does not. You can be the wealthiest.
That's right.
And you can be dumped when you reach by the airport.
Yes.
You can be looked down in your own community. So wealth and that doesn't make much a difference anymore here.
No.
The most people may say you have a big house, but they may just say it doesn't matter. So that brings me to the point. When we get back, I want you to share with our audience. That's complicated. If you have the Democratic Party and you have the Republican Party,
Right.
and one of your members were to ask you, so whom do I vote for?
Right.
You know, how do you go about sharing
Good
the
question.
values of the Democratic Party?
Right.
This is why we would tell you vote for the Democratic Party, and these are the values of the Republican Party,
Right.
and this is why you should vote for them. These are the advantages and disadvantages, and these are the... Now, that's interesting.
Very good question.
I think that's interesting
Yes.
because a person will want to know why.
Yes.
You know? And sometimes it's important to know the pros and cons and who benefits from which values.
Yes.
So you know what? When we get back,
Yeah.
I would like you to share that with the audience. A little bit about Muslims who probably have a degree and they're rich and they think they should not get involved in politics. And why they should get involved in politics.
Great point.
And why it is important for people to understand which party they vote for and why. Because everybody may have their own reasons.
Very good.
So we've been speaking to Brother Suhail Nanji, the chair of Emgage, Florida, a man deeply in the areas of technology, but interesting enough, he's the chair of Emgage, Florida. So, you know, Allah has blessed him with that ability to have that sort of technical background and social and political background also. So when we come back, we'll continue this conversation, inshallah.
Al Hikmat Services, serving the Muslim community and non-Muslim community. Dawah and interfaith activities, distribution of Quran and Islamic publications, sponsoring students to study Islam, Al Hikmat Da'i, Dawah and Interfaith Institute. Also, Friday sermons by Shaikh Shafayat are live on alhikmattv.com from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Download our free Al Hikmat TV app on your mobile devices. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to donate to Al Hikmat Dawah Services online with a credit card or PayPal at alhikmat.com. For more details, contact Al Hikmat office at 1-800-804-0267 or our local number 954-986-0158 and visit us at www.alhikmat.com. Jazakallah khair.
Welcome back to Who is Who in America on Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Again, it is a pleasure to have with us in Al Hikmat studio Brother Suhail Nanji, the chairman or the chair of Emgage, Florida. And as you heard in the previous discussion before we went on the commercial break, he's a very technological person and he's very much involved in social services and in the political area. So we are now in that political arena here of discussion, if I want to put it like that.
Yes.
And feel free to express your thoughts on what we asked before we went on the break pertaining to a rich man, a wealthy man,
Yes.
a well-qualified, degreed person, feeling he's in comfort zone in America
Right.
and refusing to get involved in the political arena?
Right. That's a very good question, Sheikh. So, the poster child for what you talked about is actually Donald Trump.
Yes.
If you think about it for a second.
Yes.
Because if you looked at when Obama was president, Donald Trump, very wealthy man, no doubt about it, but did he really have power or respect or dignity of the office at that time? In many ways, people laughed at a lot of things that he said at that time.
Yes.
And he didn't have anything. So and then once he attained power, now we're talking a whole different game.
Of course. He's the man.
He's the man now, right? So this is what
Whether you like him or not.
Right, that's secondary, right? So I like to share this with the community because, like you said, many of us think, some of us are, we have our jobs, our kids are getting educated, we're here. But folks, you don't really have dignity and power in this system until you get involved in the political landscape. And Donald Trump is your poster boy for that.
Ideal example.
Right. So that's one thing. So we need to make sure that we're involved. When you talked about the elections,
and speaking on Donald Trump, I have a lot of things that I do admire Donald Trump for.
Right.
I do not like everything he says.
Absolutely.
I do not like everything he stands for,
Right.
but I admire him.
Yeah.
The way he used Twitter, he
Right.
also taught the world that you can use social media
yes,
and go up to the ladder and become president of America, even though most of the media
Yes.
were against him.
Yes.
There were some very interesting factors that he proved to the world that things can happen, that the whole world can go another way.
Right.
He's like a little Columbus,
Right,
The
right.
whole world thought the world was not round. Columbus said, I'm going to show it to you. He said, I'm going to show you guys I'm getting in the Oval Office.
yes.
And people need to learn that.
No, I agree with you. Whether you support him or not, and I know a lot of people don't, some do in the community, and some
Listen,
don't.
I do respect a lot of his opinions and views.
Right.
I do support many of his values, and I admire him for that. And a lot of people went against me and said, oh, Sheikh, you're a Trump man. I said, no. I'm a fair man. There are the things in the Democratic Party that I do like.
Right.
And there are things in the Republican Party I do like.
Exactly.
And there are things I like about Trump
Right.
that I don't like in the Democratic and Republican Party. And one is drain the swamp.
Yes, yes.
If you got corrupted politicians,
Right.
get rid of them.
So whatever the opinion of Trump, you got to give him credit for winning that election.
Yes.
And he did it single-handedly.
Yes.
So whether you like him or not, he
That's the
did
point.
achieve that. So, but to get back to the elections and party and helping the community decide on who to support, first of all, we can't do that from our nonprofit organizations because we're not allowed to pick
501c3.
501c3 and we can't say vote for this person. So we don't do that.
Right.
That organization is strictly for education and getting folks involved in the political process.
And if we give Trump his way,
Yeah.
you may be able to do that.
Well, who knows? Yes, he's talked about that.
That's
I know.
one of his.
I know.
That's one of his dreams to get 501c3 organization, religious organization,
Right,
basically.
yes.
To have that religious liberty
Yes.
that they can pick
Right.
and recommend whom they want to have their congregation support. But anyhow,
Exactly.
that's down the road.
So
Let's go ahead.
the way we do this is we have a separate organization. It's called Emgage PAC.
Okay.
And the PAC works with local community people in interviewing candidates for each race.
Oh, so Emgage PAC is different to
It's
Emgage.
different. Absolutely. It has to be. Because
Okay.
otherwise,
Good,
we'd have a
good,
problem.
good.
So they work with local community folks in Emgage PAC and interview and screen candidates to see what the benefit for our community is. Based on that, there's a recommendation that's put out by the PAC
Okay.
to say vote for this candidate or that candidate. Now, I want to highlight one thing. You brought up party, Democratic Party.
And it doesn't matter which party. Okay?
It doesn't matter which party. We've recommended Republicans, Democrats, no party affiliation, all of those things. But the key here is not necessarily the party. That is one dimension of that person running for office.
All right.
Like you said, it depends who the person is. You may not like Republican, but maybe Trump has some characteristics that are interesting. It depends on which office they're running for. Is it statewide? Is it local? What experience they have? So there's many dimensions to selecting a candidate, but the key is what are they going to do for the community, and are they good for and respect what we need?
Okay.
So there's a whole process
Where their
towards it.
characteristics fit best.
Exactly. And that does not mean, let's say they're Democrat or Republican, that does not mean we endorse a party or particular party.
Okay.
We're endorsing that candidate for that office, for that election, and that's
You're
it.
recommending that candidate.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter which party he or she belongs to.
No.
Okay, good.
It doesn't. So, and we've worked, and you see this here locally many Republican city commissioners, county commissioners have worked with the community and been very good.
Of course, of course.
So party is one dimension to
Yes,
this element,
yes.
an important dimension, but it's certainly just one area.
Right.
So that's really how we work on the process, and really, like you said, it's getting the community and the grassroots involved. Our focus is to get them and get their voice heard.
So I know you were about to respond to the question I asked on the wealthy, educated,
Yes.
well-degreed person who thinks that he is very important
Yes.
and he does not need the people in the country to enhance his importance.
Exactly.
But it's important you refer to show how very unimportant he is
Yes.
in the eyes of the rest of people.
Right, exactly. So this is critical because a lot of us have this sense of security, and really, if we don't engage in politics, Ralph Nader has an interesting quote. He says, if you're not turned on to politics, politics will turn on you. So in this country, it's really not an option. And you see that, like you talked about, at the airport. I mean, I've been questioned at the airport. I had a visa for Hajj that I went 3 years before, and they're like, what is this? I said, look at the date on there. Right?
Yes.
So you look at our women, that says if they go out in public, I mean, people look differently if they're wearing hijab. And this is things that if we don't engage, we will not be able to fix these issues. I know, for example, college kids, in their interview, they've been asked, well, how would you respond to this and this if you were a terrorist? I go, why are you asking this person? He's applying for a degree in your college. What are these things? So all of these things, if we don't address them, they're going to build up over time, and they will affect us.
Of course, and I have always been making this recommendation, and I hope it will reach there, but it will not reach unless we have the right people in the right position, and that is immigration officers in America.
Right.
They need to know a little more on who or what are Muslims. They need, but if a political figure, and if Congress and the senators and the political voice does not set up that infrastructure, then they can ask a stupid question like that. And I consider that a stupid question.
Right.
You're looking at a Saudi Arabia visa, the holy land of Muslims.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at a visa in Jerusalem, a Jew went for pilgrimage.
Right.
They need to be educated.
Yes.
They should not just, I agree they have the prerogative to ask questions, but not stupid questions out of ignorance.
Exactly.
So there should be some mechanism set up to educate them.
Right, exactly. But the only way to get that mechanism is to make sure we're engaged in the system.
And get the right people in the right position to set up the right policies.
And you have to be organized to really have an impact. I've talked to some officials, and we've talked about this, and they're saying, listen, your community is not quite there at the table.
Of course.
In a way that matters. So I'm sorry, I have to listen to the folks that are there.
Where the numbers count.
Exactly.
Yes,
so we have to really connect the dots between engagement and our futures and our children's futures in this country.
The numbers, you're right, the voting power.
And not just the voting power, but the organized activity. Yeah, like for example, we had an issue near a masjid here with a garbage dump that was being placed. The community got out, went to the meeting, and that whole legislation was overturned. Why? Because we came out and we spoke and we represented and we engaged. We have to do this on a regular basis if we want to change the tide.
And that's what the other communities do, the
Absolutely.
Christians, the Jews.
Absolutely.
Actually, a lot of people in the positions are already Christians and Jews.
And it's not just religious. There's Haitian communities. They're
Yes.
they're very
So
engaged.
in some cases, without people having to make a big noise,
Right.
they themselves get the mission done.
Absolutely.
Because they're already in the position.
Right.
Now, there's a point you mentioned about in America. I think not only in America, but Muslims should. But unfortunately, because of the misunderstanding of Islam, Brother Suhail,
Yes.
a lot of Muslims think they should not. And they do not have to get involved in politics in their country,
right.
whether Pakistan or Africa or whatever it is, Egypt or Libya. It is Islamic to get involved in politics.
Yes.
The Prophet ﷺ, we read in his biography that he was the greatest politician that walked in earth.
Yes.
So if we are his ummah and we are his followers, we need to be politicians.
Yes.
We need to be involved in policy making in a country. A politician is one who is involved in the policy making of a country.
Right. Absolutely.
And our Prophet, peace be upon him, he got involved with the people in those days, whether they were believers or not.
Absolutely.
The chiefs and all those people who had their own concept of belief, whatever they were. But he worked with them in community services,
Yes.
came up with laws and directions and organizations to do social services, economical services, for the people.
Yes.
That's what the political arena is in America.
Yes.
What they had, that was their politics. That was just their Congress.
I'm so glad you brought that up because in Emgage, we're championing issues that are based on Islamic values, but that are good for the entire country. So for example, we're working in healthcare, we're working criminal justice reform, we're working in the environment space. So Muslims, as Muslims, we have solutions and values that can make this country a better place for everyone, not just us. And they're based on our values. So that's really what we want to promote and get people to support. So you're very right, because Islam is, it's really, you know, for everyone. It's not just
community services.
Exactly, that's what it's about.
Community services leads to political decisions,
Right.
because that changes the whole political voice, you
Yes,
know.
exactly.
And politicians go with that sort of, you know, whether it's abortion discussion, whether it's this discussion,
Right.
this rights, women rights, students' rights. Another thing I would like to, I mean, I shouldn't be saying this on the talk show as the host. It's not a matter of my suggestion.
Sure.
But maybe I will ask a question and find out if you guys do that.
Yes.
And maybe if you do, you do. If you don't, then maybe it might be a good idea.
Okay.
What about educating the Muslim community
Oh, yes.
on the importance of Muslims being involved?
Oh.
No, one is to engage them in the politics,
Right.
in the engagement of candidates. But what about, based on your organization, a little pre to what that is?
Right.
Getting programs, do you do that, and forums where you educate Muslims
Yes.
on why they need to get involved in the political arena in America?
Yes.
Well, worldwide, but we are here in America.
Yes, we're talking about America.
And the Islamic perspective.
Yes.
You know, not just an engaged perspective,
Right.
but hey, Muslims, this was the life of the Prophet ﷺ.
Right.
This is what the Quran was all about.
Right.
Community, people, leadership, laws for the community and
Right.
the services.
Right.
Because if you don't get them to believe that, they're going to tell you, Frank, we don't believe.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. That is an area we touch upon. We talk more about the system. And
I know
how to
it's
involve.
delicate, right?
we do try to give that to the community, but we talk more about how they can and get involved more as opposed to why. But I'll be honest, a lot of what you're saying, we used to hear a lot more of maybe 10 years ago. The community is getting more educated and realizing.
Do you think Trump educated them a little bit?
Trump certainly.
Do you think Trump fear
Yes.
pushed them to support politics?
I think Trump's gotten a lot of people more involved in politics.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
And in that sense, it's a good
Do
thing.
you think it's easier talking to non-Muslims about politics than Muslims?
Oh, definitely. I think for a lot of non-Muslims, we are the canary in the coal mine. So we are sort of the poster child for this whole political time right now. So they see if we can get empowered and have our rights protected, then it's good for everybody.
Yes.
So definitely, we get a lot of support from other organizations.
No, I mean, it is really interesting, and it is very important. You know, more than just interesting, it's important.
Right.
Like, you know, President Trump's tone before election
Yes.
was a whole different tone.
Yes.
Sounded. I don't want to say what he meant. His tone. That's why I'm using the
I
word
understand.
tone. Was a total different tone
Yeah.
when it comes to Muslims.
Yes.
And now when you look at him in position,
Right.
he's a whole different tone. I listened to him a few days ago
Yeah.
where he was like, we got to get ISIS because they're killing innocent Muslims. I mean, that's an interesting tone.
That's a big change.
A really big change.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes. And I'm sure the involvement of the Muslim voice in America,
Yes.
the Muslim not just their presence, because they were present before. No, this is important, brother. So
Yes.
Muslims were present,
Yes, for a
and
long
just as
time.
wealthy as they are, before Trump got an election.
That's right.
But the Muslims' voice
Yes.
came out more powerful
Yes.
during that time, and even Trump changed his voice.
Yes,
He
yes.
changed his tone. Now he's speaking about ISIS, who is killing innocent Muslims.
Muslims, yes.
Before he was speaking about ban all Muslims.
Yes.
So, I mean, I want to support that, and I want our viewers worldwide to understand what Emgage is involved in,
Right.
in candidates of different parties who stand for the right thing.
Right.
And the power of the Muslim voice
Yes.
is important.
It's very critical. We have to have, you know, the other saying that I like to share with the people is if you're in politics, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yes, that's interesting.
So we really, folks, we really don't have a choice. We
So
have
we
to
were on the
engage.
menu before Trump came in position.
Absolutely. And the more we get engaged, the more I can tell you that I've had associates and members of the community where they join organizations and literally they're the only Muslims at the table at an organization. And the entire dynamics of the conversation changes because they're there. You know, 99% of politics is really showing up, to be very
Yes,
honest with you.
yes,
Okay?
yeah.
Just being there makes a difference. But you have to work to get that person at the table.
Yes, yes.
You have to work together with a united voice.
No,
That's
you're
key.
totally correct. So, I mean, time has gone again.
I
We
can't
have
believe
been talking for almost 15, 20 minutes on the
Yes.
second
Wow.
half of the program. So, one more or less last question, and that is, I really think that, before I ask you the question, that you got to get some other area. I know it's a very hard thing. It's
Okay.
going to be a frustrating thing.
Okay.
Getting the message out to the Muslims in the masjid areas, because those are a lot of numbers. Those will make many 17 votes.
Yes,
you get my
absolutely.
point.
Yes, yes.
And they
Yes.
need to understand why, you know, because realistically speaking, you will probably have the few and the main leaders in the communities
Sure.
who are getting involved. But I think you guys got to have some kind of system
Yes.
with some different area, you know what I mean? Another area within the Emgage,
Yes.
within definitely, in encouraging the Muslims to get engaged.
Absolutely.
You get my point. That 500-600 people who sit in the audience in the masjid,
Right.
you need to get them all to just, when the time comes to vote for these candidates, to be there to give their support.
I totally agree. And to that effect, what we are using is principles of community organizing, and we have a program called the ACE program, which is Ambassador for Civic Engagement. Because, look, the reality is we can't hire enough people to be everywhere. It's impossible. You know?
Yes, yes, yes.
So we have to have ambassadors that are trained and supported by us that can mobilize their own community.
Okay, well, that's
So
fantastic.
That's exactly. So, and these are, you know, people don't realize, but community organizing is almost a science to it. There are
Of course.
academics that have studied
Of
this and
course,
principles.
of course.
So we're now in the process of coming out with these programs. So you can be an ACE for your masjid or your MSA or whatever organization and make sure that that community or that organization is engaged in the process.
Listen, that's a whole big strategy. And
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
And making sure the Muslims understand that it is Islamic
Absolutely.
to get involved in social issues and
Yes.
community services.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, it is important.
We're getting more and more imams and sheikhs and
Yes,
folks like you
yes,
that are out there saying, look, this is not something we shouldn't do or we have to do as Muslims. This is something we have to be involved in to really
Yes.
make this country a better place
Of course.
for everyone.
And again, I'm still keeping that question for last.
Okay.
You know, if we look at the Prophet ﷺ,
Sallallahu.
his strategy, you know, and his strategy would have come from the guidance of Allah.
Of course.
He placed that same structure that you guys have, he placed an Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu to be responsible for different things in his
Yes.
time.
Yes.
He had the Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu responsible for different things.
Exactly.
They had different qualities. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a businessman.
Right.
He was a
Yes.
successful businessman. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a forceful man. He was a dynamic personality.
That's right.
Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a diplomat. He had a different strategy.
Exactly.
Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a different, he was the man of wisdom.
Right.
He had a different line of thinking.
Absolutely.
So if you look at the people that the Prophet, peace be upon him, took around him in strategy and planning and direction, that's exactly what happens. You put the right people to do the right thing
Exactly.
with different qualities.
Exactly. We have folks that are very good at event planning. They want to do that. Or we have people that are good with the youth or people good with a particular area. So that's exactly the right way to go. I agree totally.
You know, it's not just about a name.
And it's our model, yeah.
And it's not about a nationality, it's about an ability.
Right.
So last, before we go to the
Yes.
question that I want to ask you
Yes.
again, how do you go about telling the people, right, before
Yes.
we conclude the program,
Right.
as to which candidate, because you said you don't say which party, but how you go about telling them, listen,
Yeah.
this person supports this party,
Right.
and these and those are the values of this party,
Right.
or this person from the Republican,
Right.
and these and those are the values of this person from the Democratic Party.
Right.
How do you go about doing that, do's and don'ts, so that the member
Right.
will be better guided to make a choice.
So there's a process. We have questionnaires that we send to all
And
the
I want the
candidates.
viewers to understand that.
Right, right. It's very important. There's a process to this. We have questionnaires that go out to all the candidates in areas that we have representation by the community of interest.
Okay.
We can't do every election in the state. I mean, we
Definitely.
just can't do
Yes,
that.
yes.
So, and by the way, it's not just Republicans and Democrats. There's Green Party. There's other parties that are involved.
Independents,
local,
whatever,
independent, yeah,
yes.
so it's everybody. So we send out questionnaires. Based on the response, we have candidate forums where they come and they meet the community. People ask them questions. We ask them certain questions and get feedback. And then we have a review by the community members in our PAC board. And based on the recommendation, sometimes we hand out printed cards. And sometimes we just send out emails or text messages and so forth with the recommended based on this process. So it's not 3 or 4 of us that say, hey, we like this guy and we're picking him.
It's based on a survey.
Exactly.
It's based on a questionnaire and what they stand for.
Right.
And what they support. And then you guys do the analysis on which candidate will be better
Right.
for what area, serving what purpose.
I see the job of Emgage as not a top-down organization. We are here to support the community at grassroots and as a catalyst to get them engaged. My job is not to tell you, hey, do this or vote for this or go Democratic or go. My job is to say, hey, this is the way we should do it and work in this structure because this is the best for the community and the best for the country. That's really the service.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you, brother Suhail Nanji. We want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I know you're a man that travel all over the world, and you know, in the technical field, you'll be very busy.
Yes.
And you are in the political field, which gets you even more busy.
Yes.
So it's a pleasure to have you with us, but I thought it was very important to share Emgage and for us to engage our audience on this conversation.
Absolutely.
And you know, this program is being broadcasted worldwide, local, national. You know, we have a little code, we call it LIN, local, international, and national. We try to go local, international, and national because you cannot forget the local and go international.
This is.
But that's the grassroots of politics. That's the secret of politics.
I agree, and I was telling you, you're much ahead of your time because you've been doing this for many years. And
I've
really
been in media,
you know,
thank God for more than 40 years,
yes,
brother.
mashallah.
More than 40 years
I know.
I've been into media, business, television, radio,
way
talk
ahead of the
shows.
time.
Alhamdulillah. This is Allah's work, you know.
Of course.
So I like that, what you guys doing, and I just thought it's a blessing for us from Al Hikmat and Al Hikmat TV to share with local, national, and international on your services. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. Jazakallah. May Allah bless you and the entire community and the board and everyone who work with you and all the members. And of course, there will be a lot of fruits from that, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So again, we want to thank Brother Suhail Nanji on behalf of Al Hikmat TV and all you viewers out there for being with us in Al Hikmat studio on Who is Who in America on Al Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.